Hey everyone, today I'm joined by the team from Grinnelli Designs, the team that is making the F-100 Hun for DCS. Today we talk about the state of the project, how the team transitions from full build to getting ready for release, what new unspoken features come with the module, bumps along the road, and the planning going into the next module. If this is your first time here, this channel focuses on multiplayer sim gameplay, so if you're new to that, please subscribe. Today I'm joined by Grinnelli from Grinnelli Designs and also Sloan, also from Grinnelli Designs, and we're here to talk about the F-100 Hun and the status of the project, because it's been about I don't know, when was the last time we talked to Grinnelli? About a year ago, I think?
About a year ago, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing our annual check-in, but, you know, how are you, and how's the status of the project? I get the sense that you guys are really starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, so I thought it would be a good time to check in.
Well, we're doing all right. The grind is real, and everyone's kind of doubled down. We're all working as hard as we possibly can to really get this thing across the finish line. It's been a fun, interesting journey. I think everybody's just looking for a W at this point and trying to get it there and get it into the people's hands and just take the next step into the evolution of what we're going to do as a brand, as a company. And hopefully everybody enjoys what we're working on.
It's been interesting because you guys are pretty unique because you have a project tracker that's public. And when I pull up this project tracker right now, it says that the art is about 68% complete, code's 88% complete, and the whole project's about 78% complete. This is as of June 4th with an elapsed time of 1,029 days. So I'm kind of curious, what does this really mean? And, you know, since we've talked last, like, what are the major things that have been done recently? Because, you know, we can see the project tracker, but I'm kind of hoping that you can kind of peel it back and explain, like, what may not be obvious.
Well, the project tracker was something that we wanted to do from the beginning, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from it. The hardest part about the project tracker is actually trying to put something this immense into two number values in art and code, but we've tried to be as fair and realistic as humanly possible while putting that picture together for the community. And the elapsed time is counting from August 19 of 22, when the first initial release of the newsletter came about a couple months after we had signed the contract. So it was pretty rapid from when we signed to when we had to make an announcement that we were working on the F-100 as our first official project. The overview sort of outlines our base module, the weapons, and aircraft systems. And as we look through this, there's a lot of green, which is good. There's some yellow in progress, and there's some blue in testing. The flight model, engine, fuel, and hydraulics are always going to be effectively in testing until we hit release, further trying to just dial it in, get everything to feel right, be right. Electrical is out of the way, and we have a fully supported electrical system that is fully modeled and wired into the entire plane. It really works quite well, and we've been able to nail that down relatively quickly. The drag chute and external sounds are things that are kind of in the brewer right now, and external and cockpit sounds have been coming along. We did a nice little recording session at Fort Wayne, as well as with the Collings Foundation in Texas, and the sounds are really nice and really add to the intensity of how extreme it is to fly a plane this on the edge. As we break into weapon systems, our missile control panel's all set, which means the sidewinders are dialed in, pylons and functionality. The gun sight is being dialed in. Always something to kind of tune there as our testers are diving in and digging more and more into that process. The low altitude bombing system is one of the final weapon items that has to be fully implemented, where the pylon control and armament, including the AWRS, is completed and in testing with our guys right now. The raw system, which we could talk about a little bit later, is also gone through iterations of improvements, and that's something that we really need to put a lot of focus in. On the other side, we have the aircraft systems, cockpit instruments, warning lights, and engine control panel are probably the biggest ones there next to the gun camera that are being constantly tweaked and dialed in with per manual instruction and other research that we found in the field to really make sure that we have that right. All the radios and compass, TACAN is done and out of the way. We have that in testing, and we consider that basically ready to ship. Our gun camera is ever evolving, which we could also touch on a little bit later, and something that we thought would be really fun to bring to DCS for the player and also for shareability of what you're doing with the plane. The control DCU-9A control tester is mainly for the nuclear ordnance, which there won't be much of, if at all. And we're kind of ironing that out because it's difficult to find declassified information on such systems. And then the bottom half is kind of the less important environmental control, seek silence for radio encryption, the lighting, circuit breakers, and oxygen. All that stuff is pretty much dialed in. Lighting is still in progress with a couple movable lights and other things that I wanted to try to innovate and experiment with. And last but not least, the navigation computer, or the Batory jet computer, as referred to in the manual, is going to be included with the plane and is ready to go. So overall, on the code side of things, that 88% is trying to represent where we are, where we'd like to be. I don't really count the stuff that's in testing as stuff that has to be done but refined. So we really are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with code. On the art side, at 68%, we are really working hard. We have two individual artists that are working and focusing on external and cockpit model. Thomas, that you've seen in some of our devlog videos, has been grinding extremely hard to get the lows and the texturing finalized for release. And the cockpit is coming along quite nice, but there's still, probably a month or two of work to go there before we can really consider that early accessible. The external model is also coming together with some major repairs that we had to do. We were able to acquire some photogrammetry of the external model. That led to us discovering that we had some issues with the shape and the scaling of the entire model. So we went back and we kind of cleaned that up, and we re-unwrapped that model. So we're into kind of a redo-ish of getting that external model really dialed in to match the accuracy and the quality of our code. So I would say the external model has slightly more art-related things that had to be fixed, where the cockpit was kind of dialed in right from the beginning with the photogrammetry that we acquired. And because we had the accurate photogrammetry of the cockpit, I couldn't settle for less and have the external model be off when we were able to get the photogrammetry for the external. So art has been kicking us a little bit, but I do believe that we're on track to get this thing finished up in a reasonable amount of time and out into the public.
Great. A lot of details. Let me distill it down for the audience a little bit, because I think I heard four main things. So the first thing is that a tremendous amount of work has been done, and you guys are flying through things, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel. The second thing that you said is you said your testers are testing things, and then you also talked about the flight models. So I have seen with a lot of different module releases in DCS that the flight model is usually one of the things that comes last. And I've seen a lot of work in progresses get, kinked or where the wrinkles get ironed out really close to release. But my perception of this project being kind of, I don't know, I want to say maybe little bit closer than just the periphery, because I've been watching it really closely, and we talk pretty often. It seems like you guys are kind of producing this almost in a different order from most of the modules, where it seems like you guys are doing a lot of the underhood stuff first, which is kind of hard to show in newsletters. So maybe in my mind, that kind of explains why there hasn't been too many newsletters about the Hun, because it seems like the flight model is done, like more than done, I think, right?
The flight model is definitely done. We have submitted the flight model to Eagle Dynamics at the beginning of June for them to review and approve. And in that process, we have our own guidelines that were given to by ED to us, the third parties, and we basically have to provide this information and this data of what they're interested in and what they want to ensure the accuracy of what we're doing. And we've put together a beautiful flight model report that encompasses that and more. And it is definitely something to behold. We'll definitely share this with everyone. This will be available for everyone to kind of peruse at their own rate. And maybe we could even do a follow-up video with GD and try to explain what's going on in this report.
Yeah, I'm thumbing through the report right now. So, I mean, it looks like, I guess, what's one of these graphs that maybe we could just talk over really quickly, just so people get an idea of like what this all means?
All of these charts are comparisons to real world flight data, which were generated using our flight model tool that we developed. They're all here to help us tune and get closer to the real performance charts. We did our best not to fake anything. Obviously, in a simulation environment, some stuff has, liberties have to be taken here and there. But really, with a combination of our tooling and the data we had available, I think we got pretty darn close. Really as close as you could get.
So just pausing the interview for 1 second. In order to talk about this flight model report, I'm actually adding in something that happened after the interview. You'll find out later that Nelson from Grinnelli Designs actually joins the interview. And he wasn't on the call when we covered this part. So I'm going to have him walk us through the report really quickly. Nelson?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a flight model expert by any means. That would be our main guy, Brandon. But I wrote a lot of these tests for Brandon. So basically, with the F-100, we found loads of real-world flight tests and wind tunnel tests, which is really advantageous because it means we could actually simulate the plane in the exact same conditions and then tweak the plane to match those conditions. So you'll see in the report we've got things like roll rates and stability and stuff. The tests kind of fall into two categories. There's dynamic and then there's steady state. So dynamic ones are like if you were to pull the stick, how much would the plane continue to oscillate after you release the stick? So we have real data from someone who's flown a real F-100 and they've pulled the stick and then they've let go of the stick and they've tracked the elevator position throughout that whole process and they've measured how much G the plane pulls during that operation and the corresponding oscillations that come out of it. So with our flight model tool, which we've mentioned in other interviews, but just the short gist of it is that we've made a tool which runs outside of DCS but matches DCS. It runs its own physics engine, and that can run our flight model external to DCS, and that allows us to very quickly run the test in question, check the result, and then if it's slightly different, we can adjust it. And then once we've got all of these tests, we can run all the tests and check that they all match simultaneously, so the flight model is as accurate as possible. So in that report, you'll see various examples of dynamic ones, and then also static ones, and these are like sustained turn rate. That's a scenario where it's not to do with the actual dynamics of how the aircraft is pitching or rolling or anything. It's like if you were to hold the plane in like a climb or something, what performance you would get out of the plane, or if you were to do a constant turn, what performance would you get out, like the excess power or whatever, or if you were to roll a consistent rate. And we have real data for all of these things, so they're all displayed in the flight model report.
How common is that to like have like a external tool like that to look for flight models or to validate flight models?
I can't speak to other third parties or anything, but it's something that I would have appreciated while working on the A4 and when I did the flight model for that with my friend Toye. But I know from our experience with the F-100 that it's been really, really immensely useful to be able to quickly iterate by we just run the test. We just change the respective coefficients in the code. We run the test again, and then you see the chart approaches the thing. So we have wind tunnel data for our base coefficients, but then that's not the full picture. So there sometimes need to be some adjustments from those coefficients to get you to the right behavior that's measured in real life. So for example, like the stall, you might have to adjust the baseline lift to get the stall exactly correct. But with our stall tests, you just literally run the test, and you see where the stall speed is instantly, and then you adjust the value, and then you do it again until you're spot on.
All right, thanks, Nelson. All right, now back to the interview. All right, great. So we look forward to reading through it. I'll make sure when I post a video that I show the report. Grinelli, I actually had one question about the model, because you guys said that you got photogrammetry access for the cockpit, and that kind of made you guys go back on the external model to kind of make sure it was of the same quality. But I do know that art has been a really tricky thing for your project, and I was kind of hoping you can kind of expand on it on kind of like what's the process been like, and then maybe the bumps along the road for art.
Sure. So art is a funny thing. It is definitely something that requires a ton of patience and talent. And along the way, as we got started, really, we have to talk about trying to do this from a business perspective and trying to create the absolute best possible thing that we can do. Because as you've mentioned in other videos, we're kind of a digital museum of sorts, and being able to capture something for a video game or a simulator and not really having it be correct sort of gives me the ick a little bit when we're really trying to do this thing full justice and preserve this history and marvel of engineering for future generations to come. So with the art, when we got started, it's difficult to, let's say, something absolutely outlandish. Let's say that we're making a F-22. I'm not going to start contracting the best of the best in the field to start delivering an F-22 model if we don't have a contract or approval from ED to deliver an F-22. It financially, it doesn't make sense, because it costs thousands of dollars, many thousands, to contract these individuals, have them work for potentially, over a year on just your individual project, whether it be an external model or a cockpit or both. So double that thousands between the cockpit and the external. And generating these models without a contract doesn't seem like a viable business strategy. If we go to ED and say, hey, we have Century Series fighter XYZ, and we get an email back that says, well, we're sorry, that's already in production, or someone else has that reserve, and now I have thousands of dollars spent on this virtual paperweight that effectively does us no good. So trying to prepare the art and have the deal set with Eagle Dynamics is tricky, because why spend money if we're not guaranteed the ability to deliver this to the public? Having said that, with the signing of the contract with the F-100, we immediately began working on the external art so that we had a framework to work off of, to build the mod into, to build it into the module that it's now become. And along the way, you have one individual focusing on the external, another individual that's focused on the cockpit modeling, And then we try to bring in other outside contractors, and some for better, some for worse. In our personal experience, we've brought some people in that said they were going to do a job and had contracts in place and then disappeared for months on end, to the point where down payments were lost and had to be gone after to get back. And not only is it a pain point from losing money, but it's a bigger pain point in losing time. Time is money to the DCS World community, it seems. And we want to deliver these items to you in a reasonable amount of time. If there's anything that I'd like to do successfully as Grinnelli Designs, is say that we're going to make a project and deliver that project before your grandkids are ready to use it. And the trials and tribulations that we face there have only really strengthened the knowledge base of our entire team of trying to conduct business, as well as the bond between everybody having to step up to maybe learn a new skill or try to perfect a skill to a professional level where we're comfortable delivering something to you that we believe is worth the $50, $60, $70 that we're charging for these modules. It's really difficult to perceive until you've actually tried to get out there and do it at a professional level, just how stressful and intense it can be trying to get the research, get everything that you need so that you can set the artists up to do the absolute best possible job that they can, and keeping it within a reasonable time frame.
Yeah. I mean, if this, if you didn't get hung up with the art, with that person kind of just disappearing, like, do you think you guys would have been done already by now?
I think that where we are with we submitted the flight model for ED to review in the beginning of June 1st or 2nd. I don't recall exactly, but it was the beginning of June. And it's going to take ED time to review the flight model. And maybe if the art was a little bit further, if we didn't have those setbacks, it might have amped everybody up. We might have been able to put in the double time hours and really try to rush it out. But the goal isn't necessarily to rush it out. It's to get it in a reasonable time while maintaining the level of quality you would expect from current releases that where the bar has been raised immensely. Our peers, Heapler, really raised the bar every single time they put out a module, and they do phenomenal work. And the expectation is to use them as kind of a virtual yardstick as to what we need to aspire to and what we need to be able to deliver to, compete at this top level of module creation and business development. So it's tough to say if it'd be out already, but if we didn't have the setbacks we had definitely this year, I definitely think that it's still an achievable goal, because we're so far with the programming that once we bring the icing on the art together, it can rapidly get into a production state, especially because we've had dozens of testers working through this on our end prior to it even getting to a closed beta state. So we're hoping when we get to closed beta, the bugs are few and far between, but still expected to be there realistically. But we're doing our best to eliminate as much of that while the art is coming together, staying proactive, making sure that all the programming and all the other bits and bobs that make up the experience of the aircraft are ready to go, so we can really just make a final steamroll push in rapid succession, hopefully.
So you talked about raising the bar, and also in a weird way with art being, with it being hung up because of issues outside of your control. In some ways, it's kind of worked in your benefit a little bit, because it's kind of giving you guys some time to work on some other things. And I know that you guys have some features that haven't even been talked about yet, and I know I know one of them you and I have talked a lot about, and I'm kind of curious if you can kind of pull back the veil to talk about maybe one of these features that isn't known at all yet, and then maybe we can talk about the gun cam, because I know some parts of it haven't even been discussed yet.
Sure. So, we come from the mod background, and we like to try to do things that haven't been done. We like to try to push that bar. The hot air balloon, the silly Top Gear Reliant rocket, and things that were said to be not possible. Anything is possible with time, patience, and experience. So one thing that and I have to give you a lot of credit for this, because when we're sitting around kind of just shooting it, things come up, and then every once in a while something sticks to the wall. And the cool thing about it is it not only has it not been done, but I do believe that it adds a level of connectivity and personalization, and it allows the player to connect with their experience and what they've done with the airplane. So we'd like to introduce a kill counter system, or a victory markings, that will be able to be shown or hidden via the special options menu. And currently, the kill counter feature is designed to work with single player, and will record your logbook kills and transfer them onto the side of the airplane in the form of victory marks. Because we have the ability to kind of refly missions over and over and over again, and set up a lot of units on the ground, we had to come up with a way to allow players to start gathering marks well above what they would have gotten in an actual combat situation. So we came up with a strategy to almost embody a little bit of the Call of Duty prestige marks, where single marks will be identifiable, let's say, with the color white. And then we would have like a tally system that 100 kills might be yellow and 1,000 kills might be red. And if you had 2,002 kills, you would have 2 red marks and 2 white marks. And every time you keep getting these kills, you'll keep adding these marks on the side of the plane. They are designed to sync over multiplayer, and you absolutely have the ability, as mentioned before, to turn that feature on or off. So some of the livery creators and squadrons might not want to show that at times for a video they might be making, or any other reason that they wouldn't want to have those markings shown on the aircraft. So you will be able to disable that. But for the people that do want to show it, and you hop into a server like Cold War, and you hop next to Enigma and his F-100, and he's got 6 red bomblet marks and a handful of yellows and whites, and you're like, oh damn, he's doing some work right now. And I definitely think that it just adds a level of personalization and ownership to what you're doing. Not only will we feature the ground kills, but we will also feature the air-to-air kills on the other side of the aircraft. So something that we're really excited about, something we hope people will enjoy and be able to show off what they're doing with the airframe, as well as trying to raise the bar with that feature to incorporate multiplayer kills as well. Currently, the system is designed to run with the logbook, so single player only is all I can promise at release right now, but we are trying to work with ED to be able to effectively track your multiplayer kills a little bit more accurately, and be able to have a system that will let you show both your single player and multiplayer victories.
Yeah, it's neat. I know a lot of people. It's funny because like with BMS, anytime a new BMS update comes, like the big updates, people always copy their profiles over. Like they like make a backup, and then they install the new version of BMS, and then they install their profile again, because they love to keep their that pilot life alive. So I'm really excited for this one. It'll be cool because it's one of these features that's going to keep snowballing over time, and more campaigns come out, and people will be able to do more and more with it. So I'm really excited for that one.
We're also excited to have the gun camera footage that we can now save. And Nelson has been doing phenomenal work with that. It kind of all snowballed, like you said. Hey, let's do a gun camera in the HUD because we have controls in the cockpit. And we said, okay, let's see if we can make it work. And Nelson was able to put together a beautiful overlay with the shader, with the gun sight, and a beautiful filter that you can also turn on and off. We've added a lot of interesting features to that gun camera system to allow players to try to customize it the way they would like to, A, have the footage exported onto their machine, or B, prevent footage from ever being exported and taking up space on your hard drive. So we can show a work in progress shot of the special options menu that we have right now, and that's only going to evolve more. We've also only shown the gun camera. We've also designed a strike camera pod that was hung under the inside of the left wing, and that also featured a forward and rear facing camera, where a lot of us have seen those really famous shots of like F-100s and other strike fighters in Vietnam dropping the Mark 82s off the back and the fins open up, and it's real footage with all that kind of grain on it, and we're really going overkill to capture all that and make sure that people can not only see that in their track files, but export those videos direct to their save games folder and post them on Instagram or Facebook or wherever they want to share some of the engagements and some of the cool kills that they've done. So the gun camera system as a whole is really quite impressive, and something that we're really proud of, that we will be able to have it released.
It's funny. We said the word Nelson 3 times, and then Nelson just joined voice.
Summoned.
So funny. Except Nelson, we're in the middle of the interview. Nelson, welcome.
So you want to add something to that, brother?
No, that sounds good, Grinelli. Just from what I heard, that sounds accurate.
So another thing that was recently released out in the public, and maybe we can talk over it, is the RWR, because I know you guys released a video, and Nelson, I was hoping actually, maybe Sloan too, if you guys can talk over the video a little bit, because I have it up in front of me, and I'm just kind of curious, like, what are we seeing here?
Yeah, so this is a video of the azimuth indicator from the APR-25, or AN-APR-25, which is the radar homing and warning receiver for that was in the F-100 and several other aircraft of the same era. Basically, it was designed to spot kind of Vietnam-era Soviet radar systems. For example, like the fire can, which is used for guiding anti-aircraft artillery, or like the Fansong radar, which is used for guiding the SA-2 guideline SAM. And so what we're looking at with that video is each line is indicating a different radar contact, and the type of line, whether it's dashed or dotted or solid, indicates the threat band. So there's 3 different threat bands. There's a low and a medium and a high, and basically that doesn't really mean anything. Just different radars fall into different threat bands, so you can have an idea of what radar's targeting you. Especially back when we were only looking at the Vietnam era radars. With extra modern stuff, it gets all a lot more complicated. In the video, it only shows dotted and solid. So in the video, we're showing fire cans, which are the anti-aircraft artillery radars, and Fansongs. The Fansongs are flashing because they are because of how the Fansong works. So our system goes into quite a lot of detail to simulate how the radars would hit the plane. So the Fansongs are flashing at 12 times per second, which is because their radar scans over the aircraft at 12 times per second. And if I had put the audio on that, although it's rather noisy because of all the radars. You'd be able to hear that audio of it. It's like the pilots describe it as a rattlesnake sound from the beam sweeping over the aircraft. Then you can also see the fire cans. Those are the solid ones, and some of them are in search, and you can see that by the lines getting longer and shorter as the beam sweeps over the aircraft, and then the radar will look in the opposite direction, and you're not receiving the signal anymore. And then there are ones that lock in the aircraft, which are the solid lines, which are just stay at the same signal strength. And then all the while that's happening, in the video I recorded, I rolled the aircraft and I did a dive and stuff, and so that causes all the strobes to move around in a kind of weird way, because the way the radar warning, the radar homing and warning receiver determines angle is based on the relative signal strength. It has 4 antennas in 4 different directions, and it measures the relative signal strength of each of those directions, and then that determines how strong, which direction it's coming from. So as you roll the aircraft, the relative direction will change because it's relative to your current orientation. So that can give those effects as well. So the one thing that's missing from that video is the audio, and I'm kind of pleased, but we've got all these kinds of different radar sounds for all the different radars in the game, but when you get lots of them together, it can be quite a noisy environment. So, but I think it should be pretty interesting for people to kind of learn the different radars and understand it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that, and also excited for you, Nelson, to see your impact spread, because you weren't here at the beginning of the call. But for those that are wondering and scratching their head, be like, this Nelson's voice sounds familiar. It's because last time you were on the channel, you were here talking about the radar that you built for Heapler's F4. Mm-hmm. And now you're with Grinnelli Designs, so it'll be cool to. I know people were really big fans of that radar, so I'm sure people will be really happy with the RWR. Yeah. I've put a lot of effort into making it as realistic as the real thing. I mean, there's some videos out there you can see and get a good idea of what it's like, and it's one of the real difficulties though with DCS is we've got to take these old systems and make them behave realistically in a modern environment. So you get some rather strange effects like false contacts and things like that with the RWR, or the radar homing and warning receiver. So yeah. So one thing that's interesting is I know it's June right now, and there's another Flight Sim Expo coming up. This one's in Rhode Island, and it's at the end of this month if I remember correctly. So kind of curious, like, what's the thinking about going there? What are you guys hoping to show? I don't really think it's super common for for the module makers to even go to these things. I mean, the only one, or actually not the only one. Actually, let me think about this. I can only think of one other module maker that's been to one that I can remember. But I'm just kind of curious, like, what's the thinking there? What are you guys hoping to show?
Well, the expo was pretty cool in Vegas. There was a lot of different people from all around the world that were from Microsoft to the combat pilot to the X-Plane and P3D, and just met a lot of cool people and tried to build some new relationships and network with some of the other brands out there. And I felt like it was really necessary for us to go because there really isn't a large footprint in that world for the combat simulation stuff. And we really have the opportunity with DCS to make a lot of these systems really, really hyper fidelity, from the electrical to flight modeling and weapon engagements, and especially the weapon systems and some of the stuff that goes with that. And we really just felt like it was an obligation to go. We have to go and set up a booth, let people get in, try the F-100. They're going to be able to fly, dogfight, weapon strikes, air-to-air refuel. We want the community to kind of get that first gut reaction, get some feedback from people, see where we're doing things right and where we might be missing on some things from the feedback that we receive from the people at the show and try to use that to tailor the F-100 into just the most complete epic product that we can on release, and really do something exceed expectation, really, for a new brand coming out with a new module.
So as you guys kind of round the corner, flight model has been submitted for approval. So ED's going to be reviewing it. You guys are wrapping up art. So you guys are kind of thinking about, I would imagine transitioning your head from, or your thoughts from build to release. I think Sloan, this was for you, but kind of what do you guys think about your release strategy, and like how do you guys want to frame your release?
Obviously, I can't speak to when this will happen, but timeline wise, I don't think any one of us wants a particularly long, drawn out process. I think the goal would be a short 30, maybe 45 day long pre-order, jump right into early access, and hopefully the early access period lasts as little time as possible. The long drawn out process, it's not good for anybody. It's not good for the consumer. You sit there waiting for it. You get a little fatigued waiting for updates, waiting for it to finish. It's bad for us. We can't move on to other projects and deal with other things. So ideally, that whole process will last as little time as possible. As far as content goes, we'll be updating the website. We'll have our own web store where you can purchase the plane, as well as some other digital and physical media that I'm not going to get into. But we'll have some interesting things on the website. Content-wise, for the plane, we'd like to have as much as possible available for the players immediately on early access release. There may be some stuff that's not perfectly there, but ideally it would be very, very close to a finished product.
Okay, so yeah, actually, okay. I guess you can't really talk about the physical objects too much that you guys are thinking about doing, but I guess other module makers have done it. I think it's kind of neat. I know you guys are working on some pretty sweet music, which we can't go into too much, but I think people will be pleasantly surprised. So I don't know, Grinelli, you want to add anything?
As far as release strategy goes, we just want to have everything in order, have everything approved from ED, and just be able to release and get people flying and enjoying. I'd like to plan a scheduled release of content that we can have that runs during that pre-order period that kind of gets everyone up to speed. We can really drill down on operation of some of the extra innovative features, as well as some of the stuff like the radar homing and warning and basic operations and all that kind of thing, and just kind of ramp right up to release and get everyone flying the plane and just getting the biggest feedback from everybody moving forward to just clean it up and move on to the next one.
So you guys are rounding the corner. Now the next question is, what's going to come after the Hun? I know we had this conversation off mic the other day, and to me it seems pretty clear that module makers have to be sort of working on multiple modules at once in order to make things worth it. Well, I mean, before I hand it over, I guess to elaborate a little bit, but you have some people that are artists, some people that are working on flight models, other people working on systems, and people complete things at different times. Some things have to happen concurrently or in consecutive order. So I'm kind of curious of your reaction to that, and also like plans after the Hun.
Well, I definitely agree that we need to have multiple things going at once, especially when we can split the teams up into art and programming. I'd really like to, now that we've really, let me take it from the beginning. Now that we've understood how to use the SDK, what we need to do to build a full fidelity module, and all the information and all the access that we have to these F-100 guys that also flew Vietnam fighters and other planes from the 102s all the way up to 106s. I'd like to land somewhere in the Century series with the 104 coming as well, there's maybe one or two more that I would like to do in that Century Series realm, and I feel like if we can get art started on that sooner than later, then we could have a pretty nice run of filling in this Vietnam era. Hopefully the Vietnam map is something that we see in the coming years, and it would really be one of the most exciting theaters to operate all this incredible modules that are coming on top of MiG-17 and Sky Raider and some other. I mean, the Vietnam theater is going to be packed with things to do. So be really exciting to chase down some more Century Series. I wouldn't mind doing some of the older planes too. It's really a matter of just getting everybody together and saying, what can we get the info for? What can we pass the ED qualifications to get the contract started? And what is everybody interested in doing? And wherever that lands, whether it's World War II to Century Series, is up for grabs. And you never can tell. Unfortunately, the process is so difficult to try to nail something down. You really just never can tell. We might start on one and end on another just because of the research materials that we come up with. So I'm sure everyone has their own opinions of what they'd really like to do. And it's also a matter of, can we do it, or is it even available? So a lot of hurdles to try to get new modules in the pipeline, but it is definitely something that I am going to start pushing more for as we get closer to the release of the F-100.
Something with a radar is my answer.
Yeah, I was about to say, Nelson's here. You gotta find a radar to have him make it.
There's Century Series fighters with radars.
Yep.
There you go. I actually had a question. I just forgot what it was. Hold on. Let me see if I can remember while also filling up dead air. Am I gonna remember my question? I don't think I am. Damn it. Any closing thoughts? What do you guys want to shout out to the void? Sloan.
I've got nothing.
Grinelli.
Shout out to the void. Yeah, I don't know. It's stressful. It's fun. I love the guys that I'm working with. I think we're doing something really quite awesome, and we're excited for the expo and to get something that we've been working on for years in front of people. And we're just excited for the last push up the hill and get something out to the people. And I'm excited to start working on something else to just keep the snowball getting bigger and bigger.
I was just going to say, I guess I'd probably mirror Grinelli. I'm excited to get the F-100 done and out, and it's quite satisfying to finish and get the module released and get it in people's hands so they can actually enjoy it.
And if you have the time and are willing, come to the expo. Come talk to us, say hi, sit down, fly the plane, let us know what you think.
Yeah, you guys got a sweet booth at the expo. Like, very convenient location for the main stage. You guys are like right there.
Grinelli didn't mention maybe he did earlier in the interview when I wasn't there, but he didn't mention all the stuff that he's set up. He's just put loads of effort into it. So I think people who would be interested in that kind of thing, that like going to expos and stuff, would be really think our booth is pretty cool. So
yeah,
Grinelli, you put way too much time in that booth. I'm just saying it now.
I mean,
actually, Grinelli, you're bringing a museum with you, aren't you?
We are. I'm bringing the Grinelli Foundation. The start of the Grinelli Foundation is going to be with us at the booth. Yes.
Yeah, you have like a bunch of knickknacks and stuff from like an actual F-100, so that'll be kind of funny to see in person.
And there's 2 half-scale sidewinders.
Yes, that too. All right, guys, it's been great sending you guys positive energy. Thanks for sharing and updating to the community. Again, I love the project tracker. It's so easy to see what's going on. And it's also interesting just to hear how the project has, it's your guys' first module. Not your first time making something in DCS, because you guys have done mods before. Oh, I remember my question. The mods. Grinelli, sorry, people are just going to ask me, and I know this about the F-100, but people always, I know someone's going to ask about the F-22. I think something, you guys just released it again, right, or something, and it's like all public now.
Well, so what we decided to do with the mods is an interesting thing. I mean, we come from the mod community. I obviously don't want this stuff to just go away or die or just become abandoned. But there are certain things with the sensitivity of classified materials, with trying to build an F-22 the right way and yada yada, and trying to put all our energy into delivering products that actually can reach the main stage of DCS. We wanted to make the F-22 a community thing. There was an individual that came to us that was like, hey, can try to write some EFM stuff, and I know people have always wanted it, and let's see what we can do. And then we just kind of decided that it'd be best to just open that up to the community. We come from the community for the community, so let the F-22 be a community project that anyone with experience, whether it be programming or livery making or whatever you want to try to contribute, can definitely come join our Discord and get involved on the GitHub and make contributions to the new EFM F-22. We'll give a shout out to B Hoop that was doing the EFM for the Raptor. It's definitely not something that he does for a living, and something he wanted to do for fun. And you just gotta let the man cook and learn, as we all had to kind of climb that ladder of figuring out how stuff works in DCS. And it's tricky. I think he's done some pretty cool stuff for just diving into it. So the F-22 will be available. Hopefully, if I get hit by a bus, it'll still be there, so no one has to worry. And some of the other mods, just while we're talking about it, like the hot air balloon and the rocket, and some of those things are just going to become legacy projects. They'll work as long as they work. It's not that we don't want to necessarily update them and whatnot, but they're not something that we really need to spend too much time on, that it really can take away from really trying to push these official projects over the edge. So the only thing that I will commit to keeping alive right now is the Edge 540 and the Extra 330. It's popular in the air show scene, and we used to do some of the racing. We might do some racing again, who knows? But all the other mods, with the exception of the Community F-22, are now basically going to be legacy, and hopefully they last. But if they do go kaput, then write down the version number when they worked if you want to get a chuckle out of it.
There you go. I think I think what you said is the reason why I wanted to do an interview, or that was like really the main motivation for me, was that you said let the man cook, and for me, because I know every once in a while we get together and just play games and like Rocket League or whatever, and we talk about the project. But from what I have noticed, is your guys' tone and has changed significantly over the last, I don't know, year or two. You guys, you guys were familiar with DCS already, but then once you guys started to really start building the actual module, you guys were figuring things out, and now you guys seem much more confident than before, and you guys are, have definitely see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why I wanted to ask about the next project, because I would suspect that when you guys, whatever you guys end up doing and start tackling next, I would imagine you guys are going to almost be like a hot knife through butter, because you guys definitely have like a good grip on things, and you definitely have staffed up and brought more talent. So I'm pretty excited for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that. We're all kind of grinding away, and everyone's doing a phenomenal job. And now that, like you mentioned, staffed up a little bit, and we try to have people that are the best at what they do focus on what they do, and just let the man cook and let it all come together. And like you mentioned, hot knife through butter on the next module. If the art was started for the next one, by the time we get through this final hurdle here, then we'd already have something that could effectively start being tested in a rapid amount of time, much, much, much faster than we've had to do through this first kind of experience. So hopefully all that can kind of come together. There's a lot of balls in the air between the Expo and finishing the F-100 and trying to get another contract or two in the works so that we can just get our little factory rolling and try to provide some good quality content in the coming years.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Wishing you guys good luck, and for the community, stay tuned. I'm expecting a lot of newsletters soon featuring the Hun. So wishing you guys well, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Enigma.
Thank you.